Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's show, the Beautifully Bruised and CPS show. I am your host, Latrika Jones. I'm so glad that you have tuned in today. I see, we made it through the week, right? We made it. Welcome to Freedom Friday. I hope your week went well, but if you didn't get a chance to get what you was looking for, I pray this weekend you get a chance to kind of take a break from everything and just relax. Sometimes it's just good to chill and take a moment to yourself to kind of just regroup and reset, right, from a busy, hectic week. So with that being said, I definitely want to, again, I have something special for you today. When I say special, I think it's something that can be useful for you because I always ask God before I come on in front of the camera starting the show, please cut me off and only share what you know that needs to be heard to help people, because that's what it's about in this day and time. So I think that since God had blessed me to come up out of my CPS case years ago to be able to survive it and to overcome it, I thank God for that, because the more and more and more I hear people in these stories and these families, sadly, that's not always the case for a lot of people. So I do not take that for granted. So I want to go right into in giving thanks and credit to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without him, I would not be able to be here today. Like I said before, I do believe as I was going through mine, I heard God saying, I'm not just bringing this out for you and your child. I'm also bringing this out to show people that there's nothing that I can't do. There's nothing too hard for me. And even when you're pressed with life and some of the biggest challenges of life, and it just seems like you don't know how you're going to make it, if you're going to be able to stand with all that's coming at you, that we do thankfully have a higher power and a higher source, which has been my daddy, Jesus Christ, and that will keep you when nothing else seemed to. So again, I want to encourage you and hopefully share some truth with you to let you know that the best is still yet to come and it's not over yet. And please don't put a period where there should be a comma. I always say that too. Why? Because God is not done writing your story. So I just want to share with you that, and I'm going to title this show today. It seemed like, I don't know if it's just me, if you're watching the live taping or if you rewatch this taping, I'm going to title this show Living in the Best and Worst of Times All at the Same Time. Okay. I'm going to say that again. Living in the best and the worst of times seem like all at the same time. Have anybody ever been through that? Where some days it look like, or sometimes it seems like everything is, or things are picking up, or you beginning to see things that you've been hoping or praying for or working towards. And then at the same time, right next to that, you're seeing some of the things that you didn't think would still be happening, or you didn't get what you was expecting, or just something bad really happened in your life. So, and that's what life be doing, right? Life will life. Okay. Rain, sleet, or shine. God knows that we all have our days and we all have our times when we go through stuff. And sometimes it can't be avoided. It's just something you just have to go through it and go through the process. And that's why I do think it's important that you have someone to. That's why I love God, because even when it seems like it's too much for me to take on, it's too heavy, it's too much for me to carry, God tells us to lay our burdens down at him, right? Because he has the capacity. His hands are larger than our hands, and he can carry it even when it seems to be overwhelming to us. So with that being said, I want to also mention that I got a chance as I was doing some research, just looking at some different information. It is a documentary that is out, and it is a really great documentary that is being showed on Netflix. And it is called Take Care of Maya. Now, I don't know if people have, someone have seen it. If you have, please leave in the comments to tell us your thoughts on what you thought about the movie. But this documentary on Netflix, I believe it came out June of last year. I was talking to the producer Grace about it, and it to me is a must see, especially parents and caregivers that are dealing with CPS. It really takes you in the moment or moments of what it's like with what parents face. And God I'm telling you, you ever watched a movie and you weren't planning on watching the whole movie, but then you just couldn't leave from watching it. You had to pause it to run somewhere and come back. That's this kind of documentary. It is real. It is raw. It definitely takes you into what it's like facing CPS. And whether you're a parent, you're a family member, or you're a lawyer, a doctor, it also deals with children in the hospital. Like I said before in a previous segment, how a lot of these CPS cases starts out in hospitals and doctor's appointments at the schools. You may have an ex or a family member that is using CPS as a weapon towards you out of malice and spite. I mean, it really, really takes you there. And mainly, I want you to hear the audio. Even if you can't see the picture that clear, if you have Netflix, it's on Netflix right now where you can watch it. And I'm telling you, once you see it, any person that is dealing with CPS, whether legal wise, whether you're, especially families that are definitely in the deeps of dealing with CPS, it's really going to be some live, raw emotions that's going to come forth. And I tell you, as I was watching it, tears began to start crying because some of the things that mom went through, I went through myself. So it's personal, right? And I've always said anything that seemed to affect you personal, it affects you, it hits you in a different kind of way. Oh, it hits differently. Okay, it affects you differently. So without any further ado, I definitely want you to hear. I'm gonna, Grace, the producer, is going to air. I had asked her to please air some of the audio. But again, if the footage is not that clear, I mainly want you to hear some of the dialogue of what it's like dealing with a CPS case for parents. So Grace, if you don't mind, if you can please share or air that audio.
Which appears to be a preliminary report. I think in light of the allegations, it is appropriate that no contact would be issued at this time between mother and Maya. I know that Yeah. Starting investigating reference to a 50-year-old female just collapsed in court. Subject is brief.
Beata fell to the ground, smacking her head on the floor.
Maya was placed in Child Protection Services custody at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. Her treatment regimen was changed because they said that Beata had Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
The judge said that Beata had to go for psychological evaluation.
Beata had a psychological exam done, and the findings were that she did not have Munchausen syndrome by proxy, but she had an adjustment disorder with depressed mood from having her child taken away, and naturally by being attacked by the system.
Beata, this is the thing you need to understand about these cases. They're not fair. They don't care about evidence. I'm just thinking of these cases from the parent perspective, and cooperating is the best way to get your kid back.
Okay, but I'm gonna stop you there for a second. They told me every day that they have no idea how to treat this condition, and I want my daughter to be treated.
I'm sure all of that is true, but once the case is already started, none of that really matters anymore. Judges don't care about whether the hospital was wrong nearly so much as they care about whether or not you're going to put your child in danger. Because the judge's only concern is if I send this kid back to mom and dad, are they going to kill her?
Mm-hmm.
That's why the best way to get this case to end successfully, in my experience, is to convince everybody that you have changed your mind and that you are going to do what they tell you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get your child back, you leave that hospital and you never, ever go back.
So in the meantime, I'm gonna let my daughter deteriorate more.
Well, what other options do you have? Either she suffers now for a little while and eventually you get her back, or she suffers forever and you never get her back.
I see.
Okay, I believe that is the end of the audio. And again, this is a story, a documentary that's on currently right now on Netflix. Please check it out. It's really worth your time. I think any family that is dealing with CPS. It is a true life story about families that is battling CPS, and it really takes you there. At the time of that footage that we were listening to, it was both parents, the mom and dad, and the judge was making a determination that the mother that had a child that was ill at the time in the hospital, that the judge made a determination that she can no longer communicate with her child during that process. And because of that, once the mom heard that response from the judge, she literally collapsed to the ground in the courtroom. And yeah, she literally collapsed once she received the news. And due to her collapsing to the ground from such detrimental news of a child, like I said, that's currently in the hospital, that's dealing with a major condition that could almost be considered life or death. And just imagine hearing the news as a mother that you are no longer able to communicate with your child while she's going through that condition. And that is why the mom responded and collapsed to the ground. Once the mom collapsed, CPS did order a psychological evaluation because they made a determination as if she was even more unfit of having her child because she collapsed. And my God, I just cannot emphasize enough the horror that what parents go through battling CPS. And if just imagine if she had a husband that was there with her, imagine being a single parent. They were able to have legal wise representation, an attorney like Attorney Vince to represent them. They had wise legal counsel, right? But imagine going through all that they're going through with no legal attorney. And it was living hell with legal representation. So again, just imagine not having someone to give you wise counsel while you're going through a system that is literally trying to destroy and to divide your family, and they're renegade with what they're pulling out with trying to do so. So it's very personal for me, because I do remember a time when my child was taken away years ago with CPS. And the first time I saw my child just in that environment, anybody know that if you go into a CPS facility, it is kind of, to me, very rigid, very kind of dry. It's almost like a like a camp that you can't get out. I mean, it's just a desolate type place. And when I walked in those doors for the first time to see my child and to see the environment that he was in, I literally collapsed. I fell to my knees as well. So again, it was very personal for me as I was watching this documentary. I can also say too, what came into mind, in which I'm so glad that they documented and they recorded. And as if you're new to CPS, you just got your CPS case, or you're in the middle of it, however the case may be, I'm sure you understand as well how important documentation is, because a lot of times, if you don't have something to prove, it's as if it didn't happen. I've even heard times where even CPS have said things that they said happened that it really didn't happen. So the more you're able to prove your case, the more evidence you have, obviously is more credible for you in the long run, with you reuniting back with your kids. And the movie just takes you in, because I remember when I would ask, the CPS caseworkers, or, the people that's dealing with CPS, how's my child doing? What did he do today? How are things going for him? And they was like, he's just asking, where are you? Like, where are you? Where's my mom at? Like, where, have you talked to my mom? Why is she not here? And that, again, emotionally, as a parent, it breaks your heart, because you want to be there for your child, but unfortunately, CPS will not allow you to be there for your child. And if you get a chance to watch the documentary, that is some of the same questions that this mom was asking, the CPS caseworker, the social worker, rather, how's my child doing? Is she okay? Especially by her being very sick in the hospital. And they did share, well, she just asking, where are you? Because a lot of times as a parent, you feel like by you're not able to be there for your child when you want to be there for your child. And how's your child receiving this? Are they thinking that the mom or dad don't care? Like, why are they not here? But a lot of times, if you're not dealing with CPS social workers who does not operate out of integrity, I've even heard sometimes they'll tell them, well, your parents choose not to be here, or, right now, maybe it's best for you to go stay with a foster family, or, this is decisions, that why you're here, and it's not always true. And even in this documentary, the social worker even shared that Maya was going to be, I think, staying with her, or she's going to find her a place to live because her parents, as if they didn't want to be there. And so just imagine you already hurt because you can't be there as a parent or a family member. And then you're thinking about your child or thinking that you just neglecting them when it's totally far from the case. You're doing all you can to be there and to see them, but they're not allowing you to. And I'm going to tell you one part that got to me in this documentary. I think this is a great point to show and to prove how CPS is not always fair with their decisions. And I will say this without telling too much of the documentary, but I think this also helps to paint the narrative with how CPS operates. I noticed that they said the same CPS caseworker who was assigned to Maya, the parents, thank God, was doing Googling, doing research, because they felt something kind of leery or odd or off about this particular social worker. And when they looked into it, they realized that the social worker herself had been accused of being abusive to kids. I want to say 2 kids, but either way it goes, she had been found to be someone that was a child abuser all along while they were keeping their daughter away from the parents. Okay, because they're accusing them of being abusers, when yet and still you're allowing a CPS caseworker who has history of being abusive to see after your child. And the parents knew that the whole time while they were separated from their child, that her daughter was with a person that has been accused of child abuse who was overseeing their child. So help me make that make sense. And at the same time, a parent is trying to hold their composure of not becoming irate or becoming expressive or becoming argumentative, because at the same time, right, you got to play it cool. Even though you're living probably in the worst days of your life, or you're living in this horror story or horror movie, however you want to word it, and you have to play like it's not as horrible as it really is. I just, it takes you there. And I cannot emphasize enough of the importance of, I see why they've written their documentary about what they've been through. Anybody know, if you watched the show, I wrote a book. God led me to start writing. Actually, not only did I write a book, I actually wrote a script myself that I'm shopping around for the Beautifully Bruised, Crush for Christ, because I did the same thing. It was so detrimental to me what I experienced with CPS for nearly a year or longer. As I wrote the book, I was easily able to transfer some of my information, that into a script along with some other dialogue I experienced, because it's so tremendously horrific dealing with CPS. And it is a horror story. I'm not going to lie to you. And I do believe that's why God told me to start writing it down. A lot of people don't know what it's really like going through CPS. One of the, I think, attorneys mentioned, or the parents advocates shared, CPS is not fair. They're not always fair. So you cannot go into CPS thinking that you can just talk your way out of a normal situation. Why? Because it's not normal. And I've said that before as well. It's nothing normal about it. It's like you're entering into a Pandora box or a black hole and you cannot find your way out. That is why I strongly recommend hiring an attorney, like Attorney Vince. If you can't get Attorney Vince, please, please, please seek some type of wise counsel who knows CPS laws, who knows how to be aggressive, who knows how to do the work to fight, 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 and fight, and fight again to get your children back home where they belong. You are not playing with something that's simple. You're not playing with something that's easy. This is a giant like no other. And trust me, they will take your children. Sadly but true, there are many people that can sadly testify that they will take your kids. And a lot of times they don't want to give your kids back. You really have to do the work, and you have to take this serious. And pretty much 9 times out of 10, this is probably going to be a case of your life like never before. And thank God I had the discernment as I was going through my CPS case years ago. I felt that in my spirit, like this is like, it's very serious, and it can definitely change the trajectory of your life, where your children end up living the rest of their lives. And I think Attorney Vince has mentioned before, this is the case of your life. You know, your children's well-being is connected to it. So, and you have to have someone that can speak reason into you. I cannot emphasize enough. Not only did my attorney provided me wise legal counsel that knew the laws to fight CPS, a lot of times, sometimes they're counseling you as well, because you're in such shock to know that they are getting away with the things that they're getting away with, and you know that they're wrong, and you know that it doesn't make sense, but still yet you can't do anything about it. And sometimes it takes that wise legal counsel or advocate to speak reason to you, to bring what, yeah, you might be right on what you're saying, but this is not how it works in CPS. Whether you right or wrong, they still can take your kids. You're not dealing with someone that plays fair. I really honestly see it as spiritual as well. And that's why a lot of times I reference to the Bible. I know with me, that is what gave me comfort and peace like nothing else, is hearing the word of God, staying prayed up, and just, reading just inspiration, being encouraged. That's why I thank God for Attorney Vince and the producer Grace for this platform, because sometimes it's just somebody speaking the right words into your spirit can make a world of difference. It truly can. It can make the world of difference, just hearing the right words at the right time. And that's why you can tune into this show 24/7. Like, share, subscribe, tag. Somebody else might be going through it. Even if you think they might, still share it with them. It doesn't hurt to just send over a link and say, hey, I got something out of this, or I think this might be something you like, and just share it. You never know. Even if they're not going through something like dealing with CPS, they might know somebody that is, because a lot of cases, you'll be surprised, a lot of people are affected by CPS. They do not discriminate. It don't matter what color you are. It don't matter where you live at. It don't matter where you drive. It don't matter your education. When CPS wants you, they are like some sharks in the water that is starving, and they will do whatever it takes to help fit their narrative to get what they want, which is your children. So this is definitely something that you have to take serious. And I just cannot say enough how important it is. It was for me. I leaned in on God like never before, because I realized that I am in over my head. That's why I had to, sometimes you just have to step back and say, God, what do I need to do to get out of this? And I will say, honestly, from my own personal experience, I'm no attorney, but I am a mother, again, who have survived and overcame CPS. And from the experience that I received, it is no way that I could have went through that case without hiring an attorney. That's just my opinion, because the things that they take you through, again, they don't have to be 100% correct on what they do. And that's why they're always drawing to do things to get their narrative. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a normal situation. And I'm sure a lot of parents that are sitting on the other side, where sadly their kids might have been taken away. Maybe they didn't really catch on to what CPS was doing until maybe the second, third, or fourth hearings. And it's a trough of hearings, y'all. It's not no 1 or 2 hearings and it's over with. Absolutely not. These CPS cases can go on for years. And the longer they have access to your children being in their custody, they give them more of a right to keep them permanent. I think here in Texas, if the children are perceived in CPS custody for at least a year or so, they can automatically get the rights of your children. So that's why you fight like hell to beat the time clock, to do all the services, to do all the classes, to make sure you have a wise legal attorney that is representing you, to provide the needed documentation to fight CPS and know the laws to make sure they're pulled out of this corrupt system of child protective services. And that is just the honest truth. I knew as I was going through mine, I want to say even in 6 months, I received a notice saying that my child is going to be returned home because there wasn't no reason for them to continue to do what they were doing. And I kid you not, out of nowhere, I received a new CPS caseworker said that she was newly assigned to my case. When my case was supposed to have been ending, they decided to extend it. And when I asked my attorney why, what is happening? Why are they continuing on something? Did something changed I'm not aware of? She said, you have to get in your head. This is not about you or your child. This is not about neither one of y'all. This deals with money, power, and politics. It's bigger than you. Okay? So you almost have to be equipped psychologically to deal with the emotional trauma and drama, emotional, mental, physical, it all wears down on you. And when she said that, I was shocked. Once I knew that I was doing everything they've asked me to do, I passed every drug test they've submitted. I've never done drugs in my life, even though I still did the drug test. I did literally everything they required. And in the 6 months, I received correspondence in the mail that this case is ending. And out of nowhere, just like that, okay, they decided to continue the case. And that same caseworker that was calling me at the last minute, asking me to do things that seemed to be unfeasible or really no merit or why she was doing it. I had someone to say, hey, you don't have a good caseworker. She's really just messing with you. And it's personal with her, with you. You should look into getting somebody else. And I refuse to do it because I do know from my experience that they can retaliate against you if you're dealing with a CPS caseworker who lacks integrity. So from my own personal experience, I just decided to continue to move forward because I had wise legal counsel that was directing me and helping me every step of the way. And with that being said, where in 6 months, like I said, I got the literature saying your case is at the end of your hearing out of nowhere. And I do believe she did it out of spite. I truly do. I do believe it was out of spite, out of malice, that she continued the case, because I asked her, why did the case continue? Did something happen that I wasn't aware of? And she never did respond. The only thing she responded and told me was she got a raise to be now the supervisor at CPS. Yeah. From all the things she was doing to me, they gave her a raise from being a social worker to now becoming a supervisor. And I'm sure to this day, years later, she's probably still there. So it's no way with me hearing that you can't tell me why you extended my case after 6 months. You don't respond to that, but you respond to me, let me know that you're now becoming a supervisor at your location. Again, at that time, I just knew that you have to know how to play the game, but be better at them than they are at their own game. That's where wisdom takes in. It comes in at that place, because you're not going to get anywhere being irate. You're not going to be anywhere being disgruntled. You're not going to be anywhere being confrontational. And I also believe the documentary Taking Care of Maya really reflects that, shows that a lot, because that mom was going through hell and back like I was. And it's hard not to share, your emotions and feelings, especially when you're dealing with your child, right? And you know that CPS are not handling your child correctly, or maybe not even dealing with you correctly. So sometimes you got to put on your face, even though you might be crying on the inside, but when you're dealing with CPS, don't let it show. Have you all heard the old saying? I forgot how it goes, but you just don't let them see you sweat. Okay, you have to play it cool. And thank God her husband was there to walk her through that, because women, as you know, right, we can be emotional, right? And that's especially living with our children. That's a whole nother level. So thank God she had that support. She had a parent's advocate, and these type of things do make a change, a difference for you in an attorney, because they can bring you the balance that's needed. When you feel like you're becoming unhinged, or you just are so angry, you just can't take any more of the my God, all that's coming at you with CPS. I'm not saying that it's not even it's not valid, but you cannot show that as you're going through your CPS cases. You cannot be angry and talking crazy to your CPS caseworkers. Why? Because they're documenting everything, and that can be another thing that they can use against you for you not getting your children back home. Sometimes I think that's what they want you to do. I think it's really psychological. They want to see how far they can take you before you literally just break. And you will literally be playing right into their hands if you are to go off and say something, that you could possibly regret, and something even worse that can cause you to permanently lose custody of your children. So even though they're taking you through hell and high water, don't let them see you sweat. It was many times where I knew that my CPS caseworker who lacked integrity, was doing things, trying to make me seem as less as, like, trying to make their narrative look correct. Like I told you before, I shared my CPS caseworker ordered me to take a psychological evaluation. Okay. And the same, while doing that, she also ordered a $10,000 brain test. So on one side, it seemed like I had a mental problem, like I couldn't handle my child. But at the other test, it was basically saying maybe she's too smart. And I just remember, okay, you can't be stupid and intelligent at the same time. You have to pick which one of your narratives you're going to choose. They literally was trying to pick two at the same time. That's how desperate they were about trying to put something against me, hold something against me. It was within days when I was taking these tests. My attorney said they're trying to use any and everything they possibly can to hold against you. And that's why I know you must serve a God that's hearing your prayers, because literally everything they're trying to hold against you, nothing is working. Nothing is working in their favor. That's the power of God. That is the power of God. That's all I can tell you. When the devil comes to try to kill, steal, and destroy, I just knew, and I still say, that no weapon formed against me shall be able to prosper in Jesus' name. And I mean it. And you better believe I was saying it on a regular basis when I was going through my CPS case, even not even knowing what the outcome was going to be. I still kept believing, and I still continue to do the work. And I am glad to say, sitting here in front of you today, that my child was returned back home to me where he belonged years ago. The judge ordered CPS to return my child back home immediately. The game was over, and the devil is a liar. So if nothing else today, I want to encourage you to tell you, if you have Netflix, that might be worth, if you do have it, or if you don't have it, it might be worth an investment. Because if you're dealing with CPS, or you want to know more about it, have a family member that is, it is really something that really takes you in those courtrooms. If you've never been in a CPS case, it really takes you there. And I'm telling you, it is not for the weak at heart. I promise you, it is not for the faint. That lady literally fainted in the courtroom when that judge told her, for no reason, that you can no longer speak to your child again. And that child was very sick in the hospital, who could have died from what she was facing. If you can only imagine the strain and pain that is on a mother's heart. My God. And I do know that feeling, because I do, like I just mentioned, when I first saw my child in those chambers, I didn't collapse, but I fell to my knees. I lost balance on my legs. I just fell to my knees, and I had a family member that helped me up. It was just the agony of what we've entered into that was life-changing for the both of us. And I'm sure so many other families that can witness, that have gone through CPS, or that are currently going through CPS. But I just want to come on to encourage you, to tell you that, again, it is not over yet. I don't care how bad it looks, how bad it feels. It seems impossible. Trust me. I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt and a hat. I strongly understand those feelings. I still care about families that's going through that, because that was so detrimental. If I wasn't a believer in Christ and didn't have the wisdom to seek wise legal counsel to help me during my CPS case, I can't even say I would have made it through. I'm being honest with you. And I'm going to tell you, to this day, matter of fact, this week, my child even said, Mama, thank you for bringing me out of CPS. It's something your child will never forget. They'll never forget the fight, the sacrifice that you was willing to take to fight CPS and win your children back, because your kids are in that system and they know the hell what it's like. Prayerfully, they're with somebody or families that foster families are dealing with CPS caseworkers who has integrity. But again, the ones who do not have integrity, those are the ones I'm speaking to. Please do not handle these cases as just another case for you to receive an incentive, a bonus, or use your power, or, for politics or things of that sort. I pray to God that you are operating out of integrity when you're dealing with these hearts and souls of these parents, because these families, 9 times out of 10, people try to do the best they can with what they have. Normally the case. I know that there are certain circumstances where CPS might need to be involved if parents are not operating out of integrity or whomever. I understand that. I'm speaking in reference to families that love their children and they are operating out of integrity, and they're trying to do the right thing by getting their children back. Okay. These are the families that I'm speaking in reference to. So I just want to encourage all families to not give up fighting for your children. God has the final answer. It is not over until God says it's over. And as long as you're doing the work, as long as you're keeping God first, as long as you keep fighting for your children, I don't see God not turning it around for you. I just do not see that. I actually pray that you can seek wise legal counsel, get an attorney to help you, because to me, it's detrimental. Why do you think they will allow you to have a pro bono attorney? Because they know a lot of people, again, don't know how to fight CPS cases. And a lot of times, I will say this, if it's an attorney that doesn't know CPS laws, I don't want an attorney who doesn't. Because I know when I went through my CPS encounter years ago, I know what it's like to have an attorney that didn't know those laws, and it wasn't good. You get what you pay for. It's worth the fight. It is worth the sacrifice in hiring a wise legal attorney like an attorney Vince or someone else that knows how to represent you and know how to represent your children so that children can come back home with you where they belong. Don't gamble, don't risk, don't take a chance trying to save money, thinking you know what you can do. They don't care about none of that, okay? They care about the laws and making sure you know the laws. And if you don't know the laws, it's easy for them to violate your laws as a parent. I wouldn't gamble the chance for my children. I just wouldn't do it. It's too much. It's worth to the chances are too great to risk that loss. Okay. So again, I just want to come on here to encourage you. If you get a chance, please check out that movie. Take Care of Maya. It is on Netflix right now. Any family or a parent or caregiver or even foster parents that's going through CPS, or anybody who really don't know how CPS works, it's a great insight to know what really goes on. Because again, just because someone has a CPS case does not automatically mean that they're done something wrong. Okay. That's not always the case. Sadly, it's not. Okay. Sometimes the people that's doing the CPS case, if they lack integrity, they could be the ones doing something wrong to that parent or to that family, to the parents of the children. It could be the other way around. So please don't judge a book by its cover. Things are not always what they appear to be. Okay. And I'm so glad when documentaries come out to help share these stories, because I do believe knowledge is power. I do believe that transparency transforms. And I think if enough families will stand up for their rights and speak up to some of these things that's going on that a lot of times have been people been quiet about. I think it's a great way to expose the enemy, and hopefully and prayerfully we can implement some laws to change how CPS are able to come in and just disrupt these families, and remove these children and place them in God knows where. Because statistics do show that normally a child is better off with their families if just, maybe they can provide the necessary resources to help the families. Normally a child is worse when they're placed in a foster care, a foster home. Okay. Keep that in mind as well. So, yes, again, anything I can say or to share to help open up eyes, to make people to be more cautious and aware of what CPS is like. From my experience of being a mom that survived CPS years ago, overcame CPS, where the judge ordered my child to be returned back home immediately. Anything I can do to help you and your children be reunited, I am more than willing to do whatever I can within my capacity. Okay. So I just want to come on here today and tell you to stay encouraged. God has the final answer. There is nothing too hard for God. That's another beautiful thing about God. There is nothing impossible that he can't do. He can turn anything around if you put him first. Okay. You do the work. Keep fighting for your babies. Keep fighting for your babies. Like I was told years ago by the CPS caseworkers, I was asking, well, what is my child? How's he doing? They said, he just keep asking about you. And that documentary, they say the little girl kept asking, where's my mom at? Your kids are counting on you to do the work. Your kids are counting on you to hire an attorney to help you get the wise legal counsel that you need to fight them with these CPS laws. Okay. They're counting on you to do your part to get them back home. So don't give up. I don't care what, it feels like, what it looks like. I am a living witness. I am a living testimony that God can do the unthinkable, that God can do the impossible. There is nothing too hard that God can't do. Once you put God first in your life, you do the work on yourself, you do the services, and please, for heaven's sake, if you can, please hire a wise legal attorney, because they are needed when you're going up against giants like CPS, because they do not fight fair. Trust me, I am a living witness who experienced it. Okay. So God bless you. I hope, this have inspired you or encouraged you. Please continue to send comments. I do read the comments sometimes, or as much as I can. I love to hear your stories. What you're going through. If there's any questions, or you ever want to be a guest on the show, you can always call and talk to the producer, Grace. She's wonderful about talking to you and schedule you for coming on the show. If you just want to share what you're going through, your experience, what it's like. Sometimes you just want to be heard, this could be an outlet for you to be able to do just that, especially when you're going through so much with dealing with CPS. Okay. So keep that in mind. Please like, share, subscribe to this channel. Again, keep God first. Don't ever give up fighting for your children. They love you. They deserve to be back home with you. God has not forgotten about you. So please do your job. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep fighting for your kids, and watch and see that God can turn that thing around for you, just like he did for me. So just know, do not put a period where there should be a comma, because why? Your God is not done writing your story yet. Okay. So stay encouraged. Have a blessed weekend. Please check out that movie if you can on Netflix, and tell me your thoughts about it. So have a blessed weekend, until our next show. Thank you for watching.